Hello, beloved twin flames. This is Stephanie Parasha, Divine Light, coming out to you from New Zealand, Aotearoa. You may hear some noise in the background of this video, even though I am recording inside. There's some really heavy rain going on right now, and because I live in a tiny home in a little house truck, it's quite noisy on the roof. So it's been quite a busy week between the last recording that I put out and this video now that I'm doing. Just really a lot of change, a lot of shifting, a lot of intense pressure going on in terms of people around me, also tuning into this kind of energy that a lot of people are describing as topsy-turvy, upside down, unsettling, discombobulating, displacing, unsettling. So that seems to be, and of course the weather here where I live currently is also very the same. It's very energetically. It's not just people feeling this in their daily lives, but the weather is going literally from one extreme to the other. And it's supposed to be summer, right in the middle of summer right now in New Zealand, and it's just been hot one minute, the sun's coming out, it's boiling hot, we're all, or it's very humid, and then suddenly it'll just pour down with rain and we'll get actually intense flooding. So we're in the midst of, at the moment where I live, a heavy rain warning is in place, and we're kind of getting flooded out, and that's the second time it's happened in the last week. So not entirely pleasant to be around, but obviously there's some messages within what's going on with the weather for us, and just to know that when things aren't exactly as we like them to be, in an ideal way, that there is often something that's needing to be looked at within the energies. So in terms of what this is relating to with the twin flames, I have done a little bit of a reading for us. I've pulled a couple of cards, but I also just wanted to talk about a message that I'm getting overall from I don't want to call anymore, I do not want to bring in these terms divine masculine, divine feminine, because I'm telling you from the perspective that I'm getting that continues to create separation. So what that means is that when we keep going into that, the divine masculines over here and the divine feminines over here, and they're doing their work separately, that continues to play out the duality consciousness and the separation consciousness. So when I talk about receiving information, it's if there is to be such a division in terms of twins, it's more that there's usually a twin that maybe is a little bit more awakened than the other, or that one. I just don't want to get caught up in these sort of gender-based divisive terms. So, but what I do want to say is that I was getting a message from a collective energy of twins that are the generally known as the sleeper twins. Whether that is predominantly the masculine or the men, that's fine if that's the way that it's being interpreted right now. For me, in my particular scenario, it is in fact the divine masculine, the masculine part of our pair that is a little bit more sleepy and just waking up. So there was a song that came to me, and it was a very, very powerful message within this song. And I do feel as if on timeline, the 1980s timeline was when we left messages for ourselves that now get played back to help us, like little Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs that I've talked about in previous videos. When we get songs, they've usually come bouncing out of the 1980s timeline. So a song that was playing over and over in my head today, which I believe has been coming from our sleeper twins, is a song entitled Hard to Say I'm Sorry. And I've got the link below, and I really, really recommend that you go and check out that song. It was by a band called Chicago, a really kind of cheesy, corny American rock band in the 80s that played a lot of sort of croony kind of love songs. And, but this one in particular, the words are literally bang on about what's been happening in terms of the separation that has been going on, or the preparation, as I prefer to call it, for a lot of us twins. So the message that came through was really clearly, basically, it's hard for me to say I'm sorry about what's happened, but we needed a little time away, and now you are the one that I want to be with, and it's time to kind of reconnect again. So listen to that, and you'll get the message of what our sleepy twins are trying to convey to us. So the other energy that I get is around that whole. What I used to talk about in some of my videos is that to remind us that we are not in a romance. This is not a 3D romance that we're dealing with here. It's a very highly involved, sort of technical, spiritual journey that is from the up to upside down. It's in a different way than we've ever done before, and that's in order to dismantle the old templates of relationship templates that were previously based on what we thought was love, but was actually ownership and codependency and attachment and all these things. So what I want to sort of bring back in, however, and sort of Spirit was guiding me to say this, they're saying, don't throw out romance entirely. Like, what we're throwing out is the Hollywood sort of version, the fairy tale story, that, this is how it's all supposed to be. We still are talking, what we really want to embody here is we are embodying a romance of a lifetime. This is a reframed romance, a more truer, divine, passionate romance than we have ever known. And the story is just going to be so different than what has ever been told before, because we've still got the essence of what love is all about, and that we have that passion, we have the desire and the love for each other, but yet the love that we embody is a different kind of love than we've ever experienced, because it comes without the attachment, without the conditions. It doesn't say, you promised me you'd be with me and not go off with anyone else, and ties people up into all these entanglements and expectations. It's a different kind of love. It's a freely given love that is free to roam and do as it pleases, and each person is free within it, and yet we have never really known how to do that. So this is what we are still working on. And so when I talk about, don't get hung up on this being a romance, I don't want to I sort of want to eat my words a little bit and redigest them again and bring it out as something different. It's a newly defined, reframed romance where the rose, I still see that rose being there. There's nothing saying that your beloved can't come and bring you a beautiful red rose and declare their love for you and adore you endlessly, and that you can have passionate intimacy and sex and enjoy each other's company and live in joy and happiness and come together as a couple and have the best of everything. Like, that is entirely, completely what I would love for all of us, and that is what I believe we mean when we say, when we come together and we unify in unconditional love. And so we're still coming to terms and understanding and embodying what that really means. And the other thing that I wanted to also kind of revisit again is something else we talk about a lot on the Twin Flame journey, is the whole thing around divine timing, and that things will happen when they're meant to happen. And so what I want to sort of redefine that is as well, is that it's the concept of time in itself and the word can create all sorts of panic for people, because they think, it has to be on time or in time or right time, or this whole thing around time, which again is another construct that ties us up to, saying forever, or it has to happen in this time. So what is really meant by that in terms of how we come together is what I want to say, rather than divine timing, is when our vibrations align, when it comes into vibrational alignment. And so when the universal force itself is a force of unconditional love, it is a force that just continues to run through in a perfect divine sort of flow, that when you're in that flow of unconditional love and trust in that energy, that's when things come into alignment. That's when you're in that source flow of trust, surrender, joy, passion, or all those things come together, and there's no longer sort of that need to sort of hang on, or maybe there's a seed of doubt there that's worried that this isn't going to happen. If there's anything like that in there, it won't happen, literally. Like it's all about that vibrational alignment and coming into that alignment of that's when things happen. And so that's why you cannot put a time on it, because it is not related necessarily to time, it's related to vibration and frequency. So I hope you all sort of understand that. I just wanted to reiterate that one more time again for us. I have talked about this previously. Now, the cards that I pulled for this week for a twin flame reading, I just decided I'd just do 2 cards, and it wasn't going to be one for the masculine, one for the feminine. Again, I'm trying to get away from that whole construct, that let's dismantle that entirely. And what I want to do is say, this is when we talk about a twin, we're talking about we're going through the same thing at the same time. We're not saying that twin is going through that time and da-da-da. We're all experiencing the same things, along the way together. So the first card that came up was the 7 of Wands. Now, I'm just getting a sense out there energetically that the twin flame mission itself, or the whole twin flame phenomena, is becoming known. It's becoming more widely heard of. People have started to hear about it. They're starting to research it. It's kind of spread out to the mainstream, I guess you could say, and people that are not twin flames will be overlaying their own preconceived ideas about what it's about, and be sort of feeding into the energy of the twin flame phenomena. And I just want to sanctify this phenomena again one more time and say that it is really only for a certain vibration of energy, of certain pairings that have chosen to work on this particular mission at this particular time. I'm not saying that these are people that have been specifically chosen. What I'm saying is these are people that have actually volunteered. So the twin flames actually volunteered to do this work. They actually said, yep, we can do this. We'll take on board that whole really, intense journey, and we were told it's going to be really hard. And, whilst I don't think that it's going to be like this amazing love story and it's going to be skipping down the lane with rainbows and fairies and unicorns and pink fluffy hearts, we knew that it was going to be hard. So what I'm getting a sense of here, we've got the 7 of Wands coming up, which to me shows that you need to protect your sacred union. You need to protect, there's more protection required around not sharing out too much information. And here I am, out there sharing this completely on YouTube. But I know that I put a certain protection of light around my readings, and only certain people will listen or click onto this video that are meant to hear it. And that's fine for me. I'm not about getting 1 million views and 10 million whatever subscribers. So not what it's about here. The reason I'm putting this video out on YouTube is so that those that are meant to hear it will, and that they will hear that message, that it involves now wrapping some sacred geometry around your union and keeping it safe, and not just willy-nilly talking about it to people that don't understand what it's about, and therefore put their own take on it and pretty much taint the energy of what your sacred union is about. So please keep yourself safe out there. The second card I got was the hanging man. And so to me that also represents that whatever we do from now on is going to be done differently than what we've ever done before. It's really about tipping everything on its head and doing things from a different way, doing things from a different perspective, just taking a different approach than what you've ever taken, looking at it from the completely opposite perspective, doing it really differently. That's just essentially what the message is. So whatever you've done before, you pretty much know that really hasn't been working, especially in relation to relationships. So do something different, do it a 180, do it completely differently, and see how that goes, and you'll see the results. And it also gives you a funny perspective. They're sort of saying it's a light-hearted perspective. It's kind of like, don't take it too seriously either. And again, it's about that balance. So you'll sort of land where you're meant to land. They're saying sort of people are going to be tipped or pushed out or put into different situations and scenarios that they're meant to be in order to complete the mission. Okay, so there's you may find that and to sort of trust that, because there'll be a blessing in it. Just recently, I'll just give you an example of what happened to me recently with this flood. I had to move sites. I'm sort of parked up in a really cool little place where I've got grass around me and trees, and it's very idyllic, and suddenly the flood came in and got flooded out, and I had to move, and I felt really, really displaced by that, and to the point where it actually really, really upset me, and I could feel myself getting upset. And as that was coming up, I could feel that this was something related to past lives. I could feel that this energy of this emotion was becoming very, very strong for me. And as we know, many of us twin flames and light workers have agreed to take on an extra dose of collective clearing as well, because we know at the moment we're still doing a lot of clearing, and this emotion that I was feeling was not just my own. I could feel that this was an energy on the planet of those souls that have experienced lifetimes where they have been displaced, where they've been pushed out of their homes. We're talking, maybe refugees where there's been wars or ethnic cleansing going on, and they've been told they can no longer live there, or maybe they've, through natural disaster, been pushed out of their homes. This has happened to so many people on the planet, and it's a very unsettling energy of feeling that you don't have anywhere that's yours, that's private, that you feel where you can belong. And so I'd really felt that really, really deeply, and I let that grief come through, because one thing I've learned on this path is not to be afraid of that emotion when it's coming up, because it's coming up for a reason. It's coming up to be healed and cleansed and released. So I let go of a lot of tears, a lot of emotion came up through me for the experience of those that have experienced the grief of displacement in their lives. And so that's just an example of, things aren't always going to go our way. There's going to be things that happen that will bring things up for us, and so be it. There's a blessing in that. The blessing in that was the healing of also I gathered around, and at that particular time I was very grateful that I had several friends with me who were also experiencing that with me, and we held space for healing all timelines and all karmic contracts and all beliefs relating to that feeling of displacement. And we also healed that energy and brought in another new template of complete unity and harmony on the planet, whereby people feel connected, and those sort of things just won't happen when we place a beautiful golden grid over the planet of connectivity and love and support and unity. So so then I did a clarifying card for twin flames for this week, and that came up. It's the Rumi Oracle deck, and the card that came up was totally amazing and very relevant. And so I'm going to read you out a portion of what that says, that card, and it's number 8, Cosmic Heart. And so this is the message for twin flames. I'm not going to read the poem part, but I'm just going to read the message because it is so relevant, especially I feel to me right now, and hopefully to you too. There is a time on the journey of love when the beloved, that would be you and me, sweet soul, is prepared to engage more completely with the heart of the divine lover. The preparation will be a rich process, spiritually speaking. It may also feel like being beaten, pummeled, simmered and stirred in the pot of the divine master chef to become a sacred and savoury meal fit for the most heavenly of feasts. This is a courageous and bold process, one that will create the most delicious aromas of the soul, and yet it is one that will likely take us right to the places we would rather avoid, places of confrontation with pain, but where the loss of its grip on our being no longer lets us quake and retreat from life in fear or uncertainty. You have been through these tantalizing trials, the push to surrender fear, the realization your attempts at control amount to not so much, actually, so why not abandon them altogether? The trials have asked you to confront every part of your being that holds itself back in resistance to what is, in resistance to what life presents at this very moment. You have been asked to become comfortable with the possible discomfort of not knowing, and to understand you don't have to understand anything for life to work out with perfect synchronicity and generous grace. You have been asked to bear darkness without losing hope for the return of the light. You have been asked to trust in your own heart wisdom when your mind was terrorized by nightmares and hallucinations of fear. They were so powerful you were certain they must be real, that you must be crazy not to run and hide somehow, somewhere. And yet, here you are, still loving, still wise, and ready for a love bigger than you have ever experienced before. So we step forward together, you and I. I link my arm through yours and I urge you on. Let us run together and jump over the edge. No more half living in any way for you and me. We will weep crystal clear tears, and we will laugh with such joy that stars will burst forth, borne upon our exhalations. We will hear the beating of the cosmic heart pounding in our ears, and how we shall dance to it. That sacred, intoxicating rhythm moves hips and hands and hearts, raising the soul from slumber. But that heart does beat so loud, it can be startling to the parts of you unused to such wild, unconditional affection and rowdy playfulness. You may worry that this great love is not going to be careful enough with you. What if you get tossed around in the great oceans of love? You will surely be disorientated and become lost to the world you once knew. How then will you know where to go? Fear not, my soulmate. Love has its wisdom and its way. We shall become lost in its genius together. Whilst our minds are tipped this way and that, tumbled in love's great waves, we shall be forced to surrender our useless intelligence and become mindless. Then how easy it shall become for the perfection of love to guide us, for there shall be nothing within to question and resist. We will no longer have to find the way, for we will have become the way. This oracle comes with special guidance for you. More love is rushing towards you like a great cosmic tsunami. You will struggle with this blessing to the extent that you will attempt to hold on to what has been. So don't. Let go. Let it move you. You'll perhaps get some water up your nose, but nothing will come to you that you cannot handle. You'll be dishevelled somewhat, undoubtedly. Yet, as you are washed up upon love's shining shore, keeping every hair in place will be the last thing on your mind. You'll be too caught up in the wonder of perfection, realizing how deeply loved you are, and how unnecessary it is to contrive a way to live your purpose. Instead, you'll have no idea what is going on. You'll be surrendered in passionate embrace with life simply being your exquisite, crazy, unique self, saturated with divine love. It will drip from you, out of your feet, your eyes, your voice, your touch. You'll water the earth with love's oceanic presence. Oh, how that tsunami will deliver you into your divine destiny. No need for any contrivance. Let your hair get messed up. Your destiny awaits you now. So that is it, divine beloveds. Be ready. We're going to be pushed into a new energy, and it's all on its way. Okay, I am going to leave that with you for today, and I hope you're all doing really well out there, and sending you a lot of love from my heart. Trust, surrender, go with the tsunami, cosmic tsunami of love. Okay, see you soon. Bye for now.